My next guest is Editorial board member Matt Kaminski to talk about the situation in Afghanistan, which seems to be getting dicier by the day. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you, Jason.
So today the Taliban suspended peace talks with the U.S. It's been reported, and the president of Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai, called for the U.S. to pull back gradually over the next few months, I believe,
right.
and confine our troops to our military bases in his country. What do you make of these developments, Matt?
I think first thing is I think both. Let's put them in context. There are no formal peace talks with the Taliban. The Taliban, from some hole wherever they are, put out a statement on the website saying they are not talking. But the talks were basically preliminary talks about talking at some point down the road. There was talk of the prisoner exchange. On President Karzai has been over the years consistently erratic and prone to say all kinds of things about the U.S., especially when bad things happen. Something very bad happened on Sunday with this killing of the 16 civilians in Kandahar province by a U.S. sergeant. So these are both kind of responses to that. I think the bigger problem here is that it points out, the trap we've gotten ourselves into, meaning the U.S. in Afghanistan. We've focused so much on, since last summer, effectively, this administration has focused so much on moving out, on retreating, and that has let us sort of exposed to bad things happening. And I think, this is really, a symptom in a way of both these things are a symptom of a bigger problem.
Well, I mean, you can downplay these talks, Matt, but the government has made it clear that they've been trying to engage the Taliban for a couple years now. They had finally succeeded in doing so, and they claim, the administration says, that some progress was being made, and they see this announcement today as something of a setback.
Well, it's certainly a sort of setback to their exit strategy.
Should we be negotiating with the Taliban in the first place?
It's a potential setback to their strategy, which is a strategy sort of predicated on getting some kind of deal with the Taliban and getting out of there. But the problem with this sort of strategy really is that the Taliban don't have, there's not much leverage that we can bring to the table here to get the Taliban to strike a deal.
Right.
Because we are not saying clearly that we're going to stay here no matter what, and we're going to sort of keep going after you guys with night raids. We're going to keep a sort of a robust troop presence in this country. So if you're the Taliban, you're seeing the U.S. is in a lot of trouble with Karzai, the U.S. is in a lot of trouble domestically. They can read papers too and see that the war is very unpopular here, that no matter what they do, the U.S. is going to pull out. There's really not much pressure for the Taliban to strike a deal, and apparently the guy in the administration who's been leading these talks or trying to have talks, he feels really hampered by the withdrawal deadlines that we've set ourselves, that no matter what, we're out of there.
Matt, as you know, the war here, according to the polls, is increasingly unpopular among Democrats and Republicans. We now have Republican presidential candidates calling for a reevaluation of our presence in the country. We've been there 10 years. Yet you're worried about us moving out of there too quickly. Why? Are you not convinced that that we've made the country, that we've created a situation over there where we do not have to worry about Al-Qaeda reconstituting and launching further attacks?
No, we have to worry about. First of all, we haven't achieved our military objectives. President Obama's surge strategy, which he announced in December of 2009, was working. The military commanders had just asked him last summer to sort of push back the withdrawal timetable for these surge troops and really push toward the end of 2014 the planned drawdown of troops. But instead, he was looking at the election calendar instead of the military, what's happening sort of on the ground militarily, and he said, no, I'm going to start pulling back early. I'm going to pull back all the surge component out by this summer. By next year, I'm going to, he announced yesterday that the U.S. would not play a combat role anymore. You can certainly leave. Obviously, we want to leave, but we can leave much more easily if we have the momentums on our side. But instead, we're sending every signal that we can to the Taliban, to the government in Kabul, to Pakistan, that we're not sort of into this anymore, that we don't really have the stomach politically for it. We're doing fine militarily. Now, this caused all kinds of problems. It caused problems short-term in terms of destabilizing already a fairly unstable situation in Afghanistan, but more of a long-term problem that it does send a signal that Afghanistan could be back in business as a sort of terrorist safe haven down the road.
Okay, okay. We'll leave it there. Thank you, Matt.